I want to go back to the month of February, and Carol Lee added these notes for us to use on February 2nd. This is a matter of, I guess, 3-4 days after the president was told that this was a very serious national security threat. The president did a Super Bowl interview with Sean Hannity, millions upon millions of Americans watching. He says we pretty much shut it down coming from China. Millions of people tune in. The same day, on February 2nd, National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien, who told the president about this, said on Face the Nation, there's no reason for Americans to panic. This is something that's low risk, we think, in the United States. And on February 24th, Trump went ahead with a planned 2-day trip to India, bringing a number of government employees with him, some of whom traveled on commercial airlines. Janet, I want to start with you. This was something that was growing out of control in China. We saw the video of people being taken from their homes in China and put into mandatory quarantines. That was out there during this time. As somebody who used to work in an administration, as somebody who faced what could have been a major threat, H1N1, luckily did not balloon to the threat that we're seeing now with coronavirus. What would a normal administration be doing on February 2nd, on February 3rd, on February 4th, for the month of February after the president put in the China travel ban?
Well, the first thing you would do is be honest with the American people. And you would say, look, there is a new form of flu, a new virus. It is going to be circulating around the world. It is easily transmissible. And then these are the steps we are going to take. We are going to convene the nation's governors and make sure that they are prepared. We're going to assess the status of the national stockpile. We're going to start and have a national testing and quarantining plan. We're going to implement common sense public health measures that will help us contain the virus so that in the end, we don't have to shut down the entire national economy. We don't have 190,000 plus deaths with more to come. But we begin by being honest with the American people and empowering them as to what they can do to protect their own safety and the safety of their communities.
What is your take on the president saying he deliberately played down the severity because he didn't want people to panic?
I think he totally underestimates the American people. When you're in a situation like this, what people need is accurate, honest information that they can rely on, that they can use for their own planning purposes, that they can take into account as they live their lives. They don't need to be gained by the leader of the country. Why? Because it's going to come out that he was misrepresenting what he knew and when he knew it. And that is going to undercut his credibility even more than it already has been undercut.
Andy, what is your reaction to what we've been learning from Bob Woodward's book?
Well, it looks like there was both a lie and a cover-up. And Secretary Napolitano is exactly right. Before you have a vaccine, your best defense, your only defense against a bug is public behavior and public reaction. So to tell the public that it is not a big deal when you know otherwise is a lie with massive consequence, because our only defense is our own behavior against a contagious bug. And if you think back to what would have been different if he would have warned Americans to be careful in early February, and just imagine the course of history running out differently, and he had every power to do so. But then there was also a cover-up. In my view, what you saw next was every time that the CDC, someone from the CDC or anywhere said we should be taking action, anytime that the industry came to him, laboratories around the country came and said, we need to be creating more tests, he did not want to play up the crisis. He wanted to keep the ruse going. And so the reaction that we had was so much later and so much less consequential because he had to keep this lie going.
You just breathe the air, and that is how it's passed. The president knew that it was airborne on February 7th when he told that to Bob Woodward. Andy, there are more than 190,000 Americans dead. There are estimates that we could get up to 400,000 this December if mask guidelines are disregarded, if social distancing guidelines are disregarded. The president has already shown that he's not going to practice social distancing for his rallies. He's holding them for the RNC speech that he made the other day. When it comes to masks, his supporters are flouting them. He had an exchange with Jeff Mason just the other day, reporter telling him to take it off because he couldn't hear him because he was muffled. Jeff Mason decided to model behavior and say, no, I'm not going to do that. How many Americans would still be, can you quantify how many Americans might still be alive if the president of the United States was honest about this disease and took it seriously as his health officials did, as early on as they actually knew on January 28th?
Yeah, there is a good way to do that estimate. But I want to say this, and I'll tell you what that estimate is. Something passing through the respiratory system, being infectious through the respiratory system, is only scary if you're not aware of it. Because we all have the power, if we know that there's something that spreads easily through the air, as he knew, to do something about it. And countries around the world have done that. So what I would say is if we had reacted similar to, say, Germany, which is a big country like ours, it's a pretty diverse country. It did not have the best response in the world, but it did not have the worst response in the world. But if we had reacted the way Germany had, it would have prevented about 75% or more of the loss of life just by having that level of reaction. And I think our expectation should be, even if it's not that we're the best in the world at this, it's that we have a reaction similar to one they did in Germany, where they recognized this, talked about the science, took precautions, and a good 3/4 of the people we've lost could be with us.
191,233 Americans. Last question to you, Janet. If you were in charge today of the pandemic response, what would you do right now?
I would be out right now saying you need to wear a mask. You need to practice social distancing. You need to help yourself and help your community. And I would get the politics out of it and just say, look, this is an airborne virus. It's still running rampant through our country. There are things you, the American people, can do to help.
Andy Slavitt and Janet Napolitano, both of you, thank you so much for joining us and offering your expertise. We do appreciate it.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.